Auburn making Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton priorities in the offense is everything Auburn fans should be wanting.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Lindsay Crosby of thebarnauburn.com, as well as other places, hanging out with us on this Monday edition of the show. The vibes were crazy Saturday night. We'll talk about how that could impact things moving forward and why specifically that matters. Auburn's ranked. That's exciting. Jackson Arnold is fine, despite what some Auburn fans are saying, which I don't fully understand. I want to start things off by talking about Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton. I think the snapshot of what we saw from them, specifically in the first half, is kind of what a lot of us expected over the course of the offseason. And it came together, and we kind of got to see what it looked like. Cam Coleman, steady, the first guy that Jackson Arnold's looking at in early downs. And then Eric Singleton, a guy who is a threat to score anytime he runs a route, Lindsay. We didn't see a ton of that against Baylor just because of the way the game evolved, and hats off to the running game taking over. We saw it against Ball State, and I think we're going to see it pretty regularly moving forward.
I mean, it feels pretty smart to hey, who are your two best players on the field right now? Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton. Let's try to get them the ball. But it seems like it's obvious, and things don't always work out like that. Auburn's number one guy in targets, Cam Coleman. He had 8. Only 2 other players even had more than 5. I mean, he had 7 receptions on those for, 77 yards? And the thing about the Eric Singleton usage, what I really like, is you could tell there was specific care taken to how can we scheme up touches for him, right? We're going to use him on, the jet motion, things like that. We're going to find ways to get the ball in his hands that are not necessarily throwing the ball downfield. And I feel like as obvious as some of that stuff is, it doesn't always happen. And so it definitely happened in this situation. And you should be happy that Auburn's we got to find a way to get these guys the ball, because that's not always been the case.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 10,000%. So when you look at the desire to get the ball to Cam Coleman, we've now seen this 2 games in a row where early in the game, Jackson Arnold is looking at Cam Coleman first multiple times. We saw that against Baylor. Both of his first 2 targets for Cam Coleman resulted in incompletions for 2 different reasons. And then obviously he went to Cam Coleman early against Ball State, found success. Situation was different. I think the patterns made more sense, whatever. And I think that's going to be something that we see pretty consistently this year. But the way, early on, they moved him around the position, which we haven't seen them use Cam Coleman a ton with that, but I love seeing that. And then, you mentioned Eric Singleton and that jet motion that we've seen. That's been awesome. And we've already seen them do multiple things with that. Jackson keeping it on that jet motion fake, Jackson giving it on that jet motion, and now we've seen him throw to the wheel route, and also on that wheel route play, backside slant to Cam Coleman, wide open. And at first I was like, why are we putting that, on tape? We could have used that, but no, I think putting that on tape may make just the base play better too, where Jackson's reading a defensive lineman as far as, do I give it to Eric or do I keep it myself? Because now you may have to play off the ball a little bit more, and it may benefit whether it's a keep for Jackson or a give. I think it's going to help with all that. So I just love, I quote, when the Patriots were at their peak and they were talking about their offense, it was, make the defense defend every blade of grass. I think we're heading in that direction as far as all the things that this offense can do.
Yeah. And on the note of that jet motion, the fact that they're putting that on tape now, tells me there's probably something else they're holding back.
Yeah.
They want teams to see all the different options. If you think about the fact you can get the linebackers to shift a little bit, and when he goes in motion, you can get a safety moving, something like that. There's probably something big off of that they have not shown yet.
No, you could throw screens off of it. You could do pump and goes off of it.
I wonder if Eric Singleton can throw the ball. I'm just curious. Just curious if there's something in there about like a throwback pass to the quarterback or something to Jackson Arnold up the sideline.
Oh, that'd be electric.
That'd be so much fun. But like
that'd be electric.
Now you have it's more than just a thing that they do. And I feel like a lot of times when you see something really cool on offense from a team somewhere, right? NFL, their college team, whatever. You see a lot of teams grab it and just like shoehorn it into their offensive game plan. And they don't really have a fully fledged plan for this. You can tell this is an entire set of plays that they've worked on. They have multiple, to your point, they have multiple options, passing, running, screen, shot play, slant, all kind of stuff that they can do off of this. And it's just a more cohesive offense because everything ties in together and it's all going back to Jackson Arnold's strengths, right? He can keep it on the run, hit the wheel route it's just a lot of variety there. And the fact that they're taking this time to scheme this stuff up for him and for Cam Coleman. Coleman's got 11 targets in 2 games.
Right.
You feel really good about the future of the offense, going forward.
Yeah. And just from a snap count standpoint, because we've talked about the versatility of this receiving core, I just think it's worth noting. So far this season, 101 total snaps for Cam Coleman on offense, 95 out wide, just 6 in the slot. Eric Singleton, 73 total snaps, 51 in the slot, 21 out wide, and then 1 was in the backfield, which I assume was charted as one of those jet motion plays. Yeah. So take that for what it's worth. I think it's like if you're inside the tackle when the ball is snapped, they end up calling that backfield, I feel like
though you may have been running in.
Yeah, I feel like that number would be higher than 1 if that was the case, though, because of the jet sweep stuff. So I don't know. Sometimes it depends on who's charting it for PFF as well. So take it for what it's worth. But I think it's interesting. Like clearly defined roles have been had, and then you've got Horatio Fields, who, I mean, I'm a little surprised. Like he seems to be the number 3 guy in all of this. Has he passed Malcolm Simmons? I think in key downs, like I think Jackson almost feels more comfortable going to Horatio Fields than anybody else. That's kind of what we've seen so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of that ends up being kind of clutch as far as when he does it and going to him. And I mean, from a target perspective, he's got more targets. You look at snap counts, like there's something to this on, hey, he has a feel for what he has in these 2 guys, and he's exhibited a preference on these 2 guys and which one he wants to go to. I think this is nothing but a good thing, though, because like we've seen what Malcolm Simmons can do. We know Malcolm Simmons can impact the game. You add another piece in here that your quarterback is comfortable with. I think he's 3rd in the wide receiver room in snaps. Yeah, Fields is. He's 3rd at 67 snaps through 2 games. And it's like, okay, if you need to reintegrate Malcolm Simmons a little heavier down the road, you can do that.
That's right.
Because you've seen him do this in this offense. You get this new guy involved. Now, theoretically, you could be 4 or 5 deep. Harry Thompson has more snaps than Malcolm Simmons does. It's like all of a sudden now you could be 4 or 5 deep with receivers that you trust, that you have had Arnold play with.
Yeah. Great situation. Jackson talked about that after the game. He's got dudes all over the place, which is awesome. Jackson Arnold's fine. Like, I don't know why we have to do this as a fan base. I want to touch on that in just a moment right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Supply House. If you order parts for your business, Lindsay, whether it's HVAC, plumbing, electrical, I mean, you want the parts to get here pretty quick. Wouldn't you say?
I'm not ordering plumbing parts because I have tons of time.
No.
There's something wrong I got to fix.
Yeah. What if I told you at Supply House, you have over 280,000 parts to pick from, and it could get to your door as quick as tomorrow? Would that be interesting? Like, that'd be interesting, right?
Yeah, that would be incredibly interesting and useful, especially if I was a trade professional.
That's correct. You can join the free Trade Master program today at Supply House and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. I'm blown away, Lindsay, by the amount of people, Auburn people outside of Auburn aren't talking this way about Jackson Arnold's performance against Ball State. I'm blown away by how much of the fan base is being negative about Jackson Arnold and Auburn's overall performance against Ball State. I don't know if they wanted to just win by more. I don't know if it was because the team wasn't perfect. I mean, you had a historic outing defensively, and then you had Jackson Arnold have one of the most efficient passing nights in Auburn quarterback history. One more completion, I think, would have broken the record for that. 24 for 28, 251 yards through the air, 3 touchdowns. You took care of the football. Like, I just don't fully understand what we're doing. The idea that Jackson Arnold and this Auburn offense with a bunch of new pieces, 2 new starting tackles, Eric Singleton, who missed some of fall camp, like still getting acclimated, running backs who are still kind of figuring out their roles with all of this. I mean, the list could go on. Horatio. I mean, we could go on and on here. The idea that people want to finish in perfect product week 2 is amazing to me. And you look throughout college football, and there were similar teams. There were teams that were better than Auburn that struggled and didn't dominate. And it's just, I don't feel like you see this a lot of places. Georgia didn't dominate Austin Peay on the scoreboard. LSU, I think they played Louisiana Tech, I believe. Like, they didn't blow them out. And so to me, it's just, I don't understand what people want here. We all agreed that the best way to handle this game and next weekend's game going into Ball State was, let's use this as an opportunity to get better as a football team, to push Jackson Arnold, and like, let's do things we're not as good at that are perceived weaknesses in a game. And that's what they did over and over and over again. And I just don't get the response to it. It's blowing me away, Lindsay.
I mean, listen, there were an entire 4 completions that he did not make. I mean, this is clearly washed. Okay, listen, this was an NFL this is an NFL passer rating of 139.7. If you were curious on how this translates to
passer rating is not a real stat, but if you think it is, you should be thrilled.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Like, here's the thing. If you I kind of feel like this is a little bit our fault, and I'm not saying our as in Locked On Auburn or you or me or whatever. I think it's more of, we've hyped up these receivers and we've hyped up Hugh Freeze's past with the passing game. That there's a certain subset of people, and the people who automatically are just anti, Hugh Freeze or whatever, and are doing these things, it's kind of just a circle.
Yeah.
But they were never going to be happy, because the stuff that they heard was that these 2 receivers are both prime Randy Moss, and Jackson Arnold's a former 5-star, and anything short of passing for 500 yards and 5 touchdowns is a disappointment. And I think the right perspective to have here is, you would have killed a human being to have this stat line in any game last year. 24-28 for 251 and 3 touchdowns with no interceptions, no lost fumbles. You would have murdered somebody to have the stat line in any game last year. And there's a couple games, if you had the stat line, you probably pick up 3 additional wins.
Yeah.
And
like, I don't know if it's a total like yardage thing. I mean, you had 3 running back runs that were just
45 yards.
Yeah, that just popped off, right? And so that's gonna end scoring drives quickly, and so like that's gonna be part of it. And for the folks that are saying Jackson Arnold's holding onto the football too long, like, you are correct in some instances. Like that's something, but that's why we're doing this. Let's put it on tape. Let's let them coach it. And thankfully, Auburn's offensive line held on long enough for him to deliver the football. Like, let's work on it. And some of it, I think, was on Jackson. And I think some of it was, and Hugh Freeze talked about it in the presser, like some of these were long, deeper, developing routes. Yeah. And that's going to be part of this. And I do think Auburn has an offensive line that's going to allow him to do that to some extent, probably not as consistently as what they did towards the end of the first half against Ball State. But once again, like, this assumption that everything needs to be a finished product in week 2 is just something that, like, I should have expected it, Lindsay. But like, because the reasoning of, oh, well, Jackson's holding on to the ball too long. Okay, so the score doesn't matter to you. If Auburn would have won 60-3, it doesn't matter to you because he held on to the football too long and on a few plays in a row. Like, okay, all right. They're like, there's no pleasing you at that point. Like, I just don't get it. I don't get why you want to be a fan and that's your approach.
They're not actually fans. They say they are.
Yeah, they just follow the team. They're not actually fans.
They're not fans. They follow the team.
Maybe
there's a difference here. There's a difference. But I mean, it's exhausting. One, some of them may just be mad because Auburn did not cover. Which I got a text from somebody who was like, "Bro, how come your Tigers didn't cover?" I'm like, "Bro, they won by 39 points. We're not mad down here."
Yeah, the line was 43.5. They won by 39. They missed a field goal that they probably should have made. That's put you at 42. Like, that's what Vegas thought was going to happen. So,
which, shout out to Vegas, they nailed that one.
Yeah, they have big buildings for a reason. But I don't know, dude. Like, the whole, let's just find every way possible to hate on Jackson Arnold is just getting so old. It's getting so old. But
and I think some of it's just proxy for hating on Hugh Freeze or hating on the team for what they've put us through the last couple of seasons, which again, not the team's fault, not the program's fault. It's really just the last coach and then the struggles of this one. But whatever. I think it's just some people who are just angry. They're going to be angry no matter what. You can't please them. Let's stop listening to them. Let's be thrilled that Auburn's the best football team in the state of Alabama. By record, they are.
Yeah, by record, sure. Not by the AP poll, but Auburn is ranked. Auburn's ranked now. What does that mean? And also other thoughts from Saturday coming up right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Game Time is the best place to buy tickets. Doesn't matter if it's for Auburn football or NFL's back, obviously in season, but you want to go see your Auburn Tigers this weekend. Lindsay, can you imagine buying tickets anywhere other than with our friends at Game Time?
Absolutely not. I would never imagine because listen, Game Time has the best tickets, the best prices, the Game Time guarantee, and you can even see what your seat looks like view from your seat before you buy.
Yep. You can toggle the all-in pricing on as well, so you're not blinded by fees and all of that too as well. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege, you get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Today's show is also brought to you by The Game Cap. Use a few words to describe my hat, just real quick. Lindsay Crosby, if you don't mind.
Clean.
Yes.
Boogish.
The boog is strong.
Classic.
Yep.
Vintage.
Classic. Yep. There we go. There we go. This is
the old school round Auburn Tigers logo. Love it.
Yep. The retro circle design. They've also got the classic bar design. All of it at thegamecaps.com. And my favorite thing is, like, sure, these are the hats that were popular in the 80s and 90s, but if you use code Locked On, you can pay the same price as what they paid back in the 80s and 90s. You can get this vintage hat for $16.99 over at thegamecaps.com. So grab your team's classic bar or retro circle design and use code Locked On for an exclusive discount, because legends wear the game. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. The Auburn Tigers ranked 24th in the AP poll. They're ahead of Missouri, which is important because they will host Missouri in a few weeks. I thought Missouri actually looked pretty good against Kansas, but we'll talk about that later in the season. Right behind Michigan, Indiana, Texas Tech, Utah. Alabama's 19th. They moved up 2 spots for annihilating ULM, and then other folks that they play on the schedule. Obviously, Oklahoma is going to be crucial. They moved up to 13. I'm actually a little surprised. I thought they would be higher. Texas A&M is 16, and then Georgia is 6. Yeah, they slipped 2 spots, which whatever.
Because they didn't handle.
They're not 5. I don't think there's 5 teams better than Georgia, but whatever.
Yeah, it's.
So I love that Auburn's finally ranked, first time since 2021.
Okay.
We're so back. But we're not going to know anything until Oklahoma.
No, we do know, Zach.
What?
That Auburn's ranked.
That's
we
true.
also know that Ball is not a state.
Ball is not a state.
For
That's
the
correct.
final time. You guys had great work on that, by the way, on Saturday. Fantastic content from you.
Kind of took off.
Really took off. But yeah, I mean, this is important, I think, for no other reason than if you have that 90th percentile outcome season, right, where you just somehow turn close games into wins and you start, you get to double digits. The sooner you get into the poll, the easier it is to move up in the poll. The fact that you have teams up here that are, I'm going to argue, hot garbage, still getting votes, is because they were in there to start the year, not because they're good now. So the sooner you get into the poll, the better for moving up to where you need to be if you have that 90th percentile outcome season.
Yeah. I mean, so many people were talking like, okay, what's your obsession with being ranked? And I'm like, one, like, respect would be nice. We haven't been respected in a hot minute. Like, that'd be cool. Mm-hmm. Also, I think just like the desire of general correctness, like I think they're deserving of it, and I think they should be a top 25 team. Mm-hmm. But also, like, if it comes down to it, and so many people comment 9-3 or 10-2, you're right, Lindsay. The higher your ranking is earlier in the season, it shouldn't matter,
but it does.
But like it does. It does matter. And so if you think if you're one of these Auburn fans that's extremely optimistic, but you're also saying like, well, we're better when we sneak up on people, maybe, but also like you need to go ahead and be in the mind of the committee and pollsters, because public opinion matters on this more than it probably should. It does.
Can I give you another reason why it matters to get ranked earlier?
Yes.
It helps with your TV windows, and it helps with the exposure things like College Game Day. Imagine if Auburn keeps climbing, and on September 27th, which shout out to my sister, that's her birthday. If Auburn beats Texas A&M in Kyle Field, and they do not have a loss, I'm sorry, not 27th, the next week. There's a bye week. Going into Georgia, if Auburn's undefeated and Georgia's undefeated, and these are 2 top 10 teams,
oh my gosh,
you could have College Game Day on campus.
That would be a night where, it'd probably be a lot of Cam Newton, which if you're a high school recruit, you want Auburn tied to Cam Newton as much as possible. I mean, that'd be a big deal. Yeah, for sure. Or the Iron Bowl, or, that'd probably be it at that point. But you're right. Yeah, sure. I mean, and I don't know how much I care about game day, but like still, it's just about national
exposure.
Attention.
And even if not necessarily that, the game windows, right? Oklahoma is still a flex. That could be a daytime, that could be a nighttime. If you're a ranked team, that's a more appealing matchup where you're not playing at 11 o'clock.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I would push back and say I wish that game would be at 11 o'clock, but I just don't think that it's going to be.
Being a road game, I don't know if it matters as much for as what time.
I'd rather.
I just think Jordan-Hare under the lights is great, but it's on the road, so who cares?
Yeah, no, I'd rather play on the road in the morning. I want it as less hype as possible.
Gotcha. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my thoughts. Speaking about Jordan-Hare, though, I think Saturday, the overall vibes were higher than I feel like they've been in a while. I mean, considering it was Ball State, but that was the crowd and the energy, the new light show, all the pyrotechnics and fireworks shooting off. And like, this is a team or a fan base of a team that hasn't won anything in several years. And this is the support you have. And the recruiting visitor list that you had in attendance. I mean, how is that not impactful, Lindsay? I mean, I just think, once again, like, Auburn's fans have been incredible through this like lowest rut that they've had, like, arguably in the history of Auburn football. Like, we've never really had a rut this long. Normally we bounce back quicker.
Yeah.
And it's just been kind of nice to see all this. And then, you know, I do think these fans are going to be rewarded. They may be rewarded this year. I think that there's a lot I like about this team that's impressed me. And I think I mean, I've been pleasantly surprised with some things for sure. So to me, I thought the overall vibes and energy for Ball State, which is not a state, it exceeded my expectations, and my expectations for this fan base were already high.
Yeah, like, Auburn's been pretty good. Auburn fans have been pretty good about showing up pretty consistently, even during the potato famine and everything.
Yeah,
but the environment in there, and kind of a big shout out to, I mean, the game day staff, the guys like Brett Hobart and things who are always finding stuff to add to the fan experience. I think that's the big thing, is Auburn continuing to invest in making it better, and the fans responding in kind, whether it's the renovations we've seen, the light show, the pyro. There was a really cool shot on TV of, it's dark in the stadium because it's the light show, and then the pyro goes off, and then when the lights come back up, but like the smoke still kind of occluding everything, just like a really cool shot. Like, all that kind of stuff that when you're on the field and you're like, holy crap, that stuff matters to recruits.
Yeah.
Like, I know that we don't, like, we think about the team's success, but like, that stuff matters. Like, you
want these kids to be sitting in the stands, looking at what's happening on the field, and be like, man, I want to be down.
I've got to be part of this. Yeah.
I want to be part of this. Yeah.
Like, This is cool. I want to do this for 3 or 4 years.
That's right.
And like, so credit to the Auburn fans for showing up like they always do, but credit to the department, the athletic department, for adding all this stuff.
Right.
And just let's hope we get more night games. We can do it even bigger and better.
That'd be great. That'd be great. Lindsay Crosby, how can people check out everything you've got going on?
I'm on social media at Crosby Baseball. The last little bit of the Braves season, bravestoday.com, the Locked On Braves postcast after every single game, win or lose, unfortunately. And then all the Auburn baseball stuff, thebarnauburn.com.
Yeah. Baseball season's almost over, man.
Hey, the Savannah Bananas are coming to Auburn to take on the Auburn Tigers in fall.
That would be awesome. That'd be so fun.
Yeah.
Please like the video. Please subscribe. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked On Auburn.